In this video, I'm going to explain how to create great content with Wisewand. First, the goal is to click on article on the left and add your keyword here. You should know that you can also directly add an SEO optimized title. So if you've already worked on a title for your content, you can absolutely enter your title here and click on keep the title right here so you can keep your title when writing the article. If you only enter your keyword, you let Wisewand decide the title of your content for you. The first thing to do is to start by choosing the language, knowing that today Wisewand offers many languages and of course the country, because even if you're in a French-speaking region, you might be in Switzerland, Luxembourg, Morocco, Canada, etc. So depending on your situation, you choose your language accordingly. For me, I'll leave it as a far. Next, we have the project. It's very important, and as we saw in a previous video, to properly configure your project. When you have a website, you can add an entire ecosystem related to that site with pre-configurations and so on. So don't hesitate to do it. You'll save a lot of time. In my case, let's say I'm doing this for the Luai site, Impact TM, for example, in automatic mode. So for the persona, I strongly recommend never leaving it in automatic mode. Again, there's a video that explains how to create a good persona on the Wisewand YouTube channel, but it's really very important, and it's what will ensure you get unique, high-quality content with a truly distinctive style. So really make the most of this persona. Next, for the length, in this case, I tend to leave it on automatic. But again, if you need content with a specific word count, don't hesitate to lock the length and set the number of words you want. In my case, I'm going to leave it on automatic. For this example, the keyword is investing in real estate. So a very big keyword, highly competitive. And the first one currently is a site we really like called Financiero, who do a really great job with their content. So what I decide to do is, as a first option, to grab the URL of their content and add it right here. And you can see that a little option has appeared, restrict source. With this, Wisewand will not retrieve any sources other than the URLs provided in the topic. So here, in this way, I can click here and make sure that the only sources Wisewand will use to write this content, investing in real estate, will be the Financiero article. And in this case, given the quality of the article, I think it's a good idea. Be careful. This absolutely does not mean that the article will be rewritten or that it will be entirely plagiarized. That's not the case at all. It's not plagiarism. It will be a truly unique article. But in this case, well, Financiero produces good content. So we're still going to extract the important information from their content by citing the source. Once that's done, well, I can move on to the next step, especially with the settings and target queries. So here again, the keyword comes up. And what you can do, I've already done it myself, is automatically fill in those famous RIKI, those well-known parameters in a broad sense. And so we have the keyword here and the answer to the search intent. So if it's a niche you know well, rather than letting Wisewand decide what's important or not for the search intent to meet the user's needs and therefore rank on Google, you can absolutely at that point directly explain to Wisewand what is expected for this type of content in the SERP. Once that's done, you have additional information. So here, automatically, Wisewand has gone and determined all the important things to cover within the topic, areas for deeper exploration, content opportunities, audience questions, and related subtopics. There you go. A lot of things are already determined automatically, and so you can once again edit the additional information and, if necessary, add information to avoid right here. So if you want a high quality personalized article that fits perfectly with your site and your type of content, don't hesitate to make full use of all these features and all these sections where you can add information. We recently introduced an outline mode on Wisewand, which allows you to have an effective outline and to adjust each title of your topic as you wish, so each H2, each H3. And in this way, you can really decide how the article will be structured. Here we have investing in real estate, invest in real estate, get started without making mistakes. So here, for example, I would add in real estate, get started without making mistakes in 2026. So that's cool. On the other hand, if it turned out like this, if it's in this style, it's because it already takes my persona into account, which has this somewhat casual tone. And so as a result, it's already incorporated into the titles. So here, obviously, I'm not going to take the time to redo the entire outline with you, but if you have your outlines, if you already have someone in-house working on effective outlines for your SEO, you can absolutely integrate them into Wisewand. Next, you can check automatic length here. So section titles left blank will be automatically filled in by Wisewand. In this case, Wisewand has already more or less chosen the number of words per section. So We're in a good place, and we can see that this is an article that in the end will be 1,890 words. If needed, I could absolutely go and change the length to match the article from Financiero, for example. That's something that's possible. Once that's done, I go into options. Here, thanks to the fact that my project is already set up, I already have all the options I want configured. But again, you can choose to generate audio for the article, add rich formatting, widgets, quotes, and many other things. And then for publishing, it's the same principle. For me, it's already set up. The article will be published directly to my WordPress, and that'll work just fine. Now, in this case, this isn't an article that's meant to be published on this site, so I'm going to set it as a draft and generate it to show you the result. As usual, the article will take about 8 minutes to generate. So I'm going to pause the video and we'll come back together to see the result. The article is now created, so investing in real estate, launch 60 planted in 2026. So right here, we have our summary box, which is highlighted, and we have our outline starting from here. The security of a tangible asset, a small diagram, a first image added here, the incredible power of using the bank's money. We have internal links that are directly implemented within the content, building a solid income for your retirement. So a second image is right here. Obviously, like with any article generated by Wisewand, we still need to take the time to proofread the content, make adjustments if anything needs to be changed, and then, well, make sure that everything is good before publishing online. But we can see that all the content is there and the outline has been followed. So we have a first very good piece of content that perfectly meets the search intent. Now, what we could have done right here in the brief is instead of checking restrict source, we could have, for example, added several sources here. So with the same final brief, we still let Wisewand decide whether or not certain information should be added. We give it a few quality sources that we might find in the top 10, for example, to help it determine what is a good source and what is not. And once that's done, we can absolutely generate an article that instead of relying on a single source or on several specific sources, because here I could tell it, well, just base yourself only on these sources. Well, we let Wisewand, in a somewhat more autonomous way, go and look for content within the SERP, meaning the Google search results, and thus form its own opinion on what is needed to create good content about investing in real estate in order to rank for that keyword. So these are two very specific ways of doing things that both work very well as long as you have good sources and a quality brief, a quality outline. That's the whole advantage of Wisewand. You can just as easily create articles in a very automated way and let it handle a lot of things thanks to the automatic mode, meaning the ability to fill things in automatically. But you can also, if you wish, keep control over many things and give it a lot of instructions. For anyone who needs it, for example, what you can do quite easily is insert a link and configure that link. Here you can set the link anchor and here the URL, and within the content, the link will be added naturally.